welcome back to another episode of the Sistah Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Gold Chain Diva. It's a sister who has a lot to talk about, and y'all know by now, from week to week, it's only but so much more that I'm going to want to talk about, okay? Your sister had a lot to get off her chest last week. Okay, so the episode wasn't, as lighthearted as it normally is because I had to get serious on y'all. I was about my business last week, so I had to get serious with y'all and get some things off my chest and, drop some gems because hopefully something I said in that last episode would inspire somebody to do something differently than what they normally would do in a situation where it affects the greater good. So what's been going on with your sister? This week has been a very quiet week for your sister. Not much going on. Just trying to get some, things done. Mostly just been doing some housework around the house, did some laundry, all the fun things of adulthood that we all look forward to from week to week. So your sister has mostly been chilling this week. So not much to report on that end. Hopefully you all are doing amazing and still enjoying your summers. I know we've been getting a lot of storms lately. So I look. Don't complain about the weather just yet. We still got August. Okay, we finally in August. We still got August to get through with the good weather before we start getting in the fall. So I want to start things off a little different this episode. I want to start by giving someone their prop. So who will we be giving props to this week? So I might be a little biased when it comes to this person. I've been told in my past that this person is one of my favorite people. I'm definitely biased when it comes to this person. But when I begin to speak about this person, I hope you all hear what I'm saying and really appreciate this person for what they have accomplished in their lifetime so far. So the person I want to give props to is my guy, my baby, the favorite of the Wayans brothers for me, Marlon Wayans. I want to give him a nice little round of applause. Now, the reason why I want to give Marlon Wayans his flowers and give him his props this week is because I recently just watched his new comedy stand-up called Good Grief. And those who know me know that I love Marlon. I love everything that he does. Like, I know that he gets the reputation as being like, the real silly, goofy Wayans or whatever. So some people, they like him. Some people they don't. It's always mixed reviews. But for me personally, I got to see Marlon Wayans' stand-up comedy show. Man, this was back before the pandemic. So I'd say back in I moved in here like 2017. So I would say it probably was around about 2016, 2017. Had to have been about that time where he came to the Baltimore Comedy Factory. And that was the first time I got to see him. And okay, your girl also got to meet him. Like, he was literally, I think, one of the first celebrities that I ever bumped elbows with. So needless to say, I was very, very, very nervous. But I just remember going to this show at the time I had some business cards for Comic Sauce and just being like, you know what, I'm going to shoot my shot. I'm just going to hand him my business card. And so look, to this day in my mind, even though he has not called a text, he threw that card somewhere in his junk drawer and he going to look at it and be like, you know what, I remember that girl. But the funny thing about that story was I was so nervous. So when I walked up to him, I had all these good intentions to hand him this card, right? And I walked up to him shaking, dropped the card in the floor, had to pick it back up. But I was just a nervous wreck, but nonetheless, shot my shot. Like I said, it obviously didn't go in because that was almost 10 years ago. But in my mind, he's going to call one day. But I remember this experience because I don't know, I got to hug him and like his face was on my face. And like, I know I'm like fangirling a little bit right now, but like, I remember like just being like, oh my God, like Marlon Wayans' face is on my face. Like, it was a whole experience. But nonetheless, that was my first time getting to see him. I've been to several comedy shows after that. And I can tell you that he is absolutely one of my favorite that I've seen so far, because I have seen him and then I've also seen his brother Damon. Now, what I will say is Damon is hilarious as well. But I'd say, you know, it's a little bit of a different comedy style. But the reason why we're here today to give Marlon Wayans his props, and I know he's not old. He still has way more life ahead of him. But right now I believe that he's in his prime. When I tell you that I watched this comedy series and I was in tears laughing. First of all, let's start there. I was cracking the hell up the entire time. But the reason why I say we need to crown him the best of this generation, like, I know that he's very humble and he pays homage to his brothers coming before him, and which, you know, I'm glad that he does that, because obviously without them, there would not be an opportunity for him to be who he is. But in the same breath, I have to say that his latest comedy special ranks him as one of the top comedians of all times. Hey, like I said, before I even started, I'm a little biased when it comes down to it. But Good Grief is the name of the series, right? I watched it on Prime, on Amazon Prime. And like I said, I laughed thoroughly the whole entire time. I mean, in tears, like cracking up, crying, laughing. And the best thing about this series, or this comedy special, is the fact that Marlon, it's called Good Grief because Marlon actually experienced the death of his mother, and then also he you know, has been grieving the death of his dad shortly after that. And so basically this whole entire special is going through his experiences with his parents, you know, being the youngest of 10 children, but then also his experience, you know, being the youngest of 10 children, but as an adult, and the relationship that he developed with his parents as they got older. And so the reason why I love this and I say that he's a genius is because out of all the comedy specials that I've ever seen, and I'm a very big comedy buff when it comes down to it, so I've seen a lot of comedy specials. Out of any comedy special that I've ever seen, I have never experienced gut-wrenching laughter 2 seconds later, like just being in tears, crying, because I'm watching this man that, you know, I love as a comedian literally put it all on the stage and grieve in front of us. So I'm sitting here empathizing and sympathizing with him, and I'm crying. But literally 2 seconds later, he says something that's completely hilarious and makes me even forget that I'm just sitting here like participating in his grieving process. So for me, that was an experience that I have never experienced ever. Like, nobody watches a comedy show and expects that they will be in tears at some point of the show. But I don't know, maybe I'm biased because like I said, I really, really, really love Marlon Wayans. And so to see him in that arena of dealing with his emotions in front of us while he's grieving, he's still entertaining us, but also still giving us a good message to cherish the time that we have with our parents and things of that nature. And so the whole thing, like, I just felt like from beginning to end, he told a very cohesive story. He told a story of how he became who he was, and ultimately paying homage to his parents being the reason why him and his brothers are as funny as they are. And so I just wanted to give him his props, because to me, we think celebrities are invincible. And so to see this man in such a very human way, but then also see him in a element and he perfected his craft so much to the point that he could stand on that stage and actively deal with emotions and not be overcome by them, but at the same time conveyed in a way that it's both emotional and hilarious to his audience. So I really think that if you all have not seen this special, this to me is the best special I've seen in a very, very, very long time. And I stand on that. Like, I really, truly stand on that. But I would love to know your thoughts. If you got Prime Video, go ahead and pull it up. Marlon Wayans' Good Grief stand-up special. Right now, it's very popular. It didn't come out that long ago. Take a watch and let me know your thoughts. Let me know. Now, it's time to spill the tea, okay? Get your pinkies up this week for this stuff, okay? Get your pinkies up. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, last week I started off this podcast telling you all to be more in tune with the Gen Z slang, because y'all got children out here that's speaking this slang and y'all don't know where it came from. So I put y'all D to that last week. Now, some of you all may know the terms I'm about to go over. The reason why this is so relevant is two terms that I'm going to explain what it is, because there's no reason why in 2024 a teacher has to make an announcement in front of her class to instruct these students to stop doing this activity. The activity in question, there was a video of a teacher who had went to her dry erase board, wrote the word edging in a circle and put a slash through it, and felt the need to make an announcement to her class to say, there is no edging allowed in my classroom.
Stop edging in my class.
A viral video shows this Florida teacher telling students to stop, quote, edging in class, which is a term you don't typically hear in a high school classroom.
Them boys got caught red-handed edging in the back of class. One kid was even gooning, I swear. I noticed 4 kids just going to town not even 10 minutes into class. I wasn't going to snitch them out or anything because I'm a real one, but an hour into their edging streak, the teacher noticed their activities and them boys were cooked.
Stop edging in my class.
Now, for those of you who do not know what edging is, and I'm aware that some of y'all are some nasties, so I know some of y'all know what edging is. But anyway, edging is obviously not appropriate for the school setting. So I want y'all to know what y'all kids is doing, because obviously y'all kids is a little nasty. They're a little nasty. And they don't know what they do with their hands when they bored, okay? Edging is the act of pleasing oneself. That's the way I'm going to say it, to keep it nice and PG-13 for the kiddos. But edging is the activity of pleasing oneself and not actually achieving arousal, release, euphoria. However you want to say it. Basically, these children are blah, 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 in the back of the classroom, and they keep doing it, and they stop right before the release, and they just keep doing it over and over and over and over again. So needless to say, it's hella inappropriate for your children to be participating in this activity in school. Now, there's a second term that, is very similar, and if you blink too fast, you might miss it. But there's another term that they're using called gooning, okay? Now, gooning is the equivalent of demon time, okay? Now, not only are these kids blah, blah, blah in the back of the classroom, but gooning is the act of doing it so long. It's a goal to just do it as long as you can without the release. Why your children feel like they're comfortable enough to do this in the classroom setting is beyond me, okay? I just want to let y'all know what y'all kids is getting into, because that's wild to me. Like, I never in my right mind would have thought about sitting in the back of a classroom pleasing myself. I think that we live in a day and age where everything is so perverted, everything is hypersexualized, everything is normalized, and these kids don't have any type of coof. So get your kids in order, please. Please. Their teacher should never have to explicitly say no edging in my classroom. It should have been implied. Heavily implied. Now, moving on. There is some craziness going on. A lot of you may feel a certain type of way about this news that I'm about to tell you about. So a lot of you watching this is around the same age as me. So you all lived through and experienced the 9/11 tragedy that happened several years ago. Now, the situation with the 9/11 attacks, I think a lot of us stopped paying attention to what had surrounded this situation. A lot of us, like I said, were very young, so we remember, getting pulled out of school early, watching the tragedies on TV and things of that nature. But I don't think a lot of us really kept up with this case enough to know whether justice was served, and what has been going on with the due process. Now, I'm here to tell you all, with all the craziness going on in the media right now between Donald Trump and Kamala and all the other foolishness, the U.S. has recently entered into a plea deal with the young men who were responsible for the 9/11 attack. I know. Listen, there in any lifetime, there's people who are questioning why it was even possible to enter into a plea with one of the most horrendous attacks of our country's history. Well, the plea entitled these two men, it was actually more than two. There was three men. So the mastermind, his name was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and two other defendants that was linked to him for the 2001 terror attacks. They entered into a pre-trial agreement. Now, mind you, this is after 27 months of negotiations. And now this plea completely takes the death penalty off the table for Mohammed, and the other two people who were at his side during these attacks. Then at the beginning of the negotiations, which started in March of 2022, the men all pled guilty to all the charges, including the murder of 2,976 people listed in the charging sheet. And this was conveyed to the families of the victims by way of letter. They sent out letters in the mail to tell people that this was what was going on. And basically, the statement says, we recognize that the status of the case in general and this news in particular will understandably and appropriately elicit intense emotion. And we also realize that the decision to enter into a pretrial agreement will be met with mixed reactions amongst the thousands of family members who lost loved ones. And this is what was in the letter. Now, the thing about it is, some of you are maybe upset. You may have lost loved ones during that tragedy, and I definitely, send my heart and regards to you if you are one of those people. This is a decision that the U.S. did not enter into lightly. Allegedly, obviously 2001 was over 10 years ago, 14 years ago. So here we are 14 years and they're still saying this is a pre-trial agreement. It's been 14 years and these men have not seen trial. Okay. So the U.S. was basically being held up with charging these men because of different things that were going on in their country, and they kept giving pushback to it. So the reason why they entered into this agreement was so that some type of justice could be served for the crimes that these men have, accomplished. Is it right? I don't know. I think we all could look at it from various standpoints, and say, some justice is better than none. But then others could look at it as it's a complete slap in the face to those who lost their lives. It should be simple mathematics. Thousands of lives lost. An eye for an eye. It sounds about right to me. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this situation. Have you even heard about this at all? Did you know that this case was still pending? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the chat. Now, this next situation that I want to talk about this week is more close to home. We are, but most of my viewers are in the central Pennsylvania area. So you all are familiar with the Capital City Mall. Now, it's a video going around on TikTok of a security officer who is a very short video. So it really could be manipulated where, we only seen half of it. Or it could be a situation where it could have been a skit. You never know these days. It's 2024. But there is a video going around on TikTok right now of a security officer being questioned by, I guess, somebody that was, just there at the mall or maybe looking to set this guy up. But there was a situation where apparently they must have been communicating with this man on some type of app. And the man thought that he was meeting up with a minor or a child at the mall. And so I guess he got a rude awakening when he went to go meet up with this minor and there was a full-blown adult. Now this adult goes on to question him about his intentions. And this guy, gives some type of bogus little excuse or whatever. And then the person on the other end of the camera proceeds to slap the crap out of him. Rightfully so, slap the crap out of him.
Can you stop trying to meet up with little kids at your job?
Absolutely, because they're going to start getting reported and blocked.
Yeah, that's
which is
good.
what I normally do on Grind.
That's what you should have did.
Can I help you at?
So you Johnny?
Yeah.
All right. So I got you right here.
Yeah.
I'm pretending to be a 13-year-old boy.
And if you look at my messages,
well, listen, I'm just gonna lay.
No idea.
I'm just gonna lay it out. We can go through the message and everything. Because
Right.
usually I give these messages to the detectives.
Okay.
And then, because you're
Right.
grooming, what you'd be doing is called grooming a child by
Right.
texting them.
And honestly, like the second I found out that it was 13, like I was like, yeah, no, we can chat. That's about it.
Well, Johnny,
Yeah.
just let's be truthful, right?
Yeah.
In here, you've been saying, if you're 17, I'm sorry, that's just too young. If you're 17, you know what I mean? That'd
Right.
be cool. But where you fuck up is saying I can still talk,
Yeah.
right? Because you shouldn't be talking with a 13-year-old boy that you met off the internet.
Right.
And then the little boy says, just to be clear, I'd be cool with it. And you say, what is the age of consent? 14 or something? Because I'm 47.
Right. Well, and that's because I wasn't, because when he said that he was 13 going to be, well, when you said 13 to 14, I was like, well, wait a minute, because I thought the age of consent was
16 maybe?
Well, and I looked it up. It's actually 16 or 17, depending on the situation. And that's why I was like, okay, well, I could kind of be okay with that. Look, I have kids. Okay,
That's
so-
kind of alarming, though. Thinking that if the age of consent is 13 or 14, that you'd be okay with fucking a 14-year-old, 13-year-old boy,
And
right? Because you're
I
asking,
would
like,
never.
is the consent? You're like, is the consent there? Because I'm cool with it. If I were to say, yeah, consent's 14, what are you going to be like? All right, sweet,
No.
let's date.
I'll be honest, I
And-
ended it right there.
I mean, you said, and keep in mind, I'm married, so you would be
Sir.
dating both of us.
Sir.
So you're talking, hold on. Because, Johnny, you're talking about dating a 13-year-old boy with your husband. And you say right here, he would not be okay.
But the whole situation is crazy. Right now, apparently this security officer has been fired. According to different sources, they're saying that this man was hired externally through, like, I guess like an agency or whatever. So he wasn't a direct employee of the mall. But somehow he flew up under the radar and got this position. So right now, the whole case is under investigation. They're investigating, I guess, what his background is, what his intentions were. Has he done this to other minors? And they're supposed to, nothing has come out yet, but they're supposed to be digging to kind of see, what's there that we don't automatically know about this case. I wanted to talk about the situation because, like I said, it's very close to home, and we hear about these stories all the time where, children and women are getting kidnapped and abducted, and just being trafficked and things of that nature. But we never think that it's something that is actually happening in our back door. And in 2024, we can never be too safe. And really, we've gotten laxed. I think, I don't have any children, but I think as a whole, we have gotten lax when it comes down to teaching our children about internet safety and the proper etiquette when it comes to using the internet. So this story is more so just a wake up call, just to let you all know to check everything that your children are into. I don't give a damn. Listen, y'all better have your fingerprint tied to their security. Y'all need to figure it out, because these babies are being preyed on, even more so today than ever before. So I just wanted to let you know this story. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. There was a lot of people saying that they actually have seen this man. They see him on a regular basis. So it just gave them a real creepy, eerie vibe to just know that this is what he was doing. So let me know your thoughts down in the chat. How do you feel about this situation? And do you talk to your children about internet etiquette? Do you talk to your children about, not meeting people that you don't know from the internet? Let me know down in the chat. Now, it's time for conspiracy talk. Conspiracy fingers. So, today's conspiracy talk, you all know that I talked a little bit about my girl, Victoria Monet, a couple of episodes when I talked about the BET Awards. But this week I'm talking about Miss Victoria Monet because there's a conspiracy going around on TikTok about her. And I mean, when you hear about it, it's a little uncanny. So Victoria Monet actually is in a relationship with her husband John Gaines, and they have a daughter named Hazel. Now, the funny thing about Victoria Monet is it also came out recently that she openly identifies as a bisexual woman, and so does her man. And prior to that, apparently, Sis was in a relationship with Kalani, allegedly. So apparently she's been making her rounds. She's a free spirit and goes with the flow. So that's the news on the street. Now, the crazy part about the story is this. This is where the conspiracy is. The conspiracy is that people are recognizing a very uncanny resemblance between Victoria Monet, her husband John, and their daughter Hazel, and also W.E.B. Du Bois and his family. And so basically a lot of people are alluding to, well, did she recreate this baby, or is it something deeper? Because it has been said several times that we have doppelgangers, and people have brought people back from the past. So I don't know. I'm gonna let y'all see the picture. To me personally, something is a little off. Something is off. That baby looks too much like her daughter Hazel. So I don't know. Is cloning involved? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, it's no surprise as of now that you all know I believe in cloning, and I feel like it's real. So I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all that I believe it's a complete fluke. Is it a conspiracy or not? I truly believe, I don't know, very much something is going on with this situation. Because that baby, I mean, to me looks identical to W.B. Du Bois's child. Y'all let me know down in the chat. Is this a reach? Is it a conspiracy? Or is it not? I don't know. So that was a quick episode for you guys. Listen, last week I went on a rampage. I went on a rant. I had a lot to say. This week I wanted to keep it short and simple for y'all. Get straight to the point and give y'all the tea for this week. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Sistah Talk podcast. I'm your host, Gold Chain Diva. And you can follow me on social media at goldchain__diva. And also, guys, continue to run those subscriptions up on this YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. And if you have not, please hit the red subscribe button down below and help your sister get to her goal of 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel. Every like, every comment, every subscription is appreciated. So thanks for tuning into another episode of the Sister Talk podcast, and have a great night.